Hello everyone, my name is Azatru, how are you? And welcome to another Star Wars Battlefront 2 video. And in this video, we are going to be pushing Battlefront 2's limits in terms of graphics and performance. You will be seeing a bunch of 4K and 6K gameplay, just taking a look how gorgeous this game is 3 years later, by pushing the settings to the absolute limit with the latest hardware. Oh, and I also tried playing at 8K, but more on that later on in the video, so stick around for that. So let's talk about playing at 4K. I was able to play Battlefront 2 at 4K with an FPS of 60 to 90 with no compromises in terms of graphical settings, plus super demanding shadow settings were enabled. And it's just an experience that you have to see for yourself in person. It's not something that is conveyed very well in video because YouTube compresses videos harshly, like really bad. So a lot of the quality I have seen when playing in these settings will just disappear, unfortunately. I would totally recommend you watching this video in 4K or 1440p unless you really can't. Even if you have a 1080p display and a PC and internet connection capable of watching in a high resolution, make sure you do because you really want to see that extra crispness. This is what the game looks like in 4K versus 1080p. You can clearly see how much sharper the game is. All of the Battlefront 2 gameplay I've showcased so far is running at 4K on an RTX 3080 and a Ryzen 5900X. There will be some showcases of 6K at a lower frame rate later on in the video, but 4K on this spec of computer is actually quite easily achieved without really pushing the graphics card to the max. I am not overclocking whatsoever, and all of the settings are on Ultra. To add to this, I used Hfts Shadows, which are 2 steps better than Ultra Shadows. In case you don't know, Hfts is a hybrid of ray traced and percentage closer soft shadows. It is not true ray tracing, but it is the best we have without official implementation by DICE for real ray tracing. And the difference that you can see between standard Ultra Shadows and Hfts is quite staggering, really. You will lose around 20 frames or so in terms of performance, but if you are running a 3080 and something like a 5900X, you're going to be able to easily hit 60 frames per second, and if you play in a lower resolution, then that frame rate is just going to go even higher. A lot of people will say that these shadows just aren't worth the performance drop, and that's up to you. In quick motion, you aren't going to be able to see all of the details on the props, but you can see on Kashyyyk that the foliage really makes a huge difference. There is a lot more shadows from the trees. So if you're on a map like that has a lot of foliage, then you're going to notice it a lot more, especially when you're on the outside. Moving on to 6K, and whilst it is playable, it is suboptimal. You're looking at 30 to 60 FPS, and that is with Hfts Shadows turned on, so you can always turn that off if you really wanted to get the extra performance. As you can see with this spec of computer, the frame rate does not hold up as much at 6K as opposed to 4K, but it does look amazing. And even though YouTube will compress this video and you can't see the visible sharpness as much, in person I can clearly see it. Even from 4K to 60 as opposed to 1080p to 4K, there is at the point of diminishing returns now, but nevertheless, there is an increase in resolution, and if you are capable of running this, then you should go for it. Unless you're really wanting to top the leaderboard, because that frame rate is really inconsistent. On the plus side though, if you are into taking photos, using NVIDIA Ansel, you can see just how much detail and how sharp the player models are. All of the individual hairs on Obi-Wan's beard, or each of the pores on their skin, it's absolutely insane. And taking photos in this game is such a joy. Moving on to 8K, and this is just not supposed to be possible, at least on a 3080, even the 3090 struggles with it, with newer games that are more optimized for 8K, even though Plus Nvidia have been promoting the 3090 as an 8K machine, which just is not correct. But anyway, you basically get 1 to 10 FPS. I tried changing the resolution, but it just kept taking me down to 1 FPS in the main menu, and that's without player models loaded in on screens, so it's just not possible, unfortunately. However, the resolution of that main menu was pretty awesome. Maybe by the next generation of graphics cards, we will be able to push this game to 8K and see what it looks like, but you have to remember that a lot of the textures in this game are maxed out at 1K, 2K, even 4K, it's really close up, so the actual sharpness of the image gets better, but the textures don't. They've maxed out. You can see that specifically on things like the Clone Trooper armor, the markings, they're very low resolution, and that's why you need to download like a 4K texture pack mod that will allow you to see a lot more sharp detail on things like the Clone Trooper armor. But it is noticeable when you zoom really far in, but when you're playing casually from third person, the textures just aren't as big a deal. It's just a shame we don't have like a super high resolution texture pack for all of the player models and stuff that was made available, and it's such a shame we don't have ray tracing for this game. Imagine Captain Phasma's armor on the Resurgent class Star Destroyer. That would be absolutely stunning, but it is what it is. I am really happy that I'm able to push Battlefront 2 3 years later on such incredible hardware in a brand new light. The graphics are insane. I'd love to hear your opinions on anything I've shared in this video down in the comment section below, and if you want me to do more videos like this in the future maybe, let me know down in the comments as well, and subscribe for more Star Wars Battlefront 2 videos. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and that's all from me. Thank you so much for watching. Check out any of the 2 previous videos on screen, and I shall see you in my next Star Wars Battlefront 2 video. Goodbye.